Contract A and Contract B is one of the concepts that frequently appear in the National Professional Practice exam. In this video, we will cover the concept, how it was originated, and the applications of it in the engineering work. Picture this. Two vendors, vendor ABC and vendor XYZ. They both received a call for tenders from a client. They both prepared their tenders and submitted them. Yet, the client favored vendor ABC over vendor XYZ. For example, selected them based on a criteria that was not clearly written and communicated in the call for tenders. Now, vendor XYZ feels that they were treated unfairly. So they have already spent effort and time in preparing the tenders. Now they want to sue the client, asking for compensation for the wasted effort and time. But how can they sue the client without having any signed contract between them and the client? And here comes the concept of Contract A and Contract B in the Canadian legal system. The first case was in 1981. Ontario Water Resources Commission issued a call for tenders for a construction project. Ron Engineering submitted the lowest bid with $150K bid deposit. After that, they realized that they did an error in the pricing of their tender. So Ron Engineering attempted to withdraw their proposal and accordingly withdraw the deposit. However, the client, Ontario Water Resources Commission, refused to return the bid deposit, and then this case went to the court. The Supreme Court of Canada ruled that the bid was binding. That means that the deposit cannot be retrieved, and it can be retained by the client. And at that moment, the Supreme Court coined this new term, Contract A and Contract B. Contract A is formed once a bid is submitted in response to call for tenders, even before signing anything with the client. Once the vendor submits a complete package of tender, there is a contract already started to being in effect from that point of time between them and the client. Contract B is the actual contract, which is signed after all the negotiations and after reviewing all the tenders that came from the different vendors. Then the owner accepts one of the tenders and then signs a formal agreement, a formal contract between them and the selected vendor. And that's Contract B. So you can see that Contract A scope is about the governing of the tendering process itself. Contract B governs the actual construction or the supply contract. So any breach in Contract A will result in things like loss of bid deposit, process lawsuits, while any breach of Contract B will result in the standard contract remedies. So from the owner's perspective, that means that they know that once they receive and accept a complete package of tender from a vendor, there is already an agreement, an unwritten agreement, which is Contract A, between them and that vendor, which means that they need to treat all the bidders fairly, evaluate the tenders exactly as specified in the call for tenders, and do not accept non-compliant bids. Only accept the bids that are compliant with the tender contract, the tender call requirements. From the vendor perspective, That means that when they submit a complete package of tender, they know that this is irrevocable for the period specified in the tender call. That means that if there is a mistake in the bid, they cannot just withdraw the bid without the loss of the bid deposit, which is very important to understand. Now looking at the full life cycle of tendering, if you will, it starts with a call for tenders issued by the client, and then bids submitted by the potential vendors. And at that moment, they consider that contract A is already in effect, which will govern the process of tendering from this point. And then all the evaluation period takes place, including all the discussions and negotiations and the post-bid clarifications between the vendor, between the client and the different vendors. And then the owner or the client signs an agreement with the selected vendor, and at that moment, contract B comes in effect. And that was a brief about contract A, contract B concept. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions, and we can discuss in the comments section. And looking forward to seeing you in the next videos. Good luck with your preparation for the NPPE exam. Thanks for watching.